You're listening to the Two Bucks Podcast, the podcast for outdoor entrepreneurs.
Little by little, I was getting the sense of my time isn't my time.
Just kept feeling this pull to the outdoors and wanting to do something in the outdoor space.
Welcome back to another Two Bucks Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Krebs, and we've got a super exciting episode for you here today. But before we do, I'd like to ask, if you've been listening to the podcast, please take a moment to go give it a rating and a review on whichever platform that you listen to. It's the number one way to help the Two Bucks Podcast grow and help inspire more outdoor entrepreneurs to go out and chase their dreams. I promise you we'll still be here when you get back. And with that, I'd like to introduce our guest today. We've got the Primal Pursuit crew with us today. So we got JD and Cody. You guys have been working on a pretty cool product. And I wanted to get you on to kind of share what you've been doing, because I feel like what you guys have been doing has been a little bit different in the space you're in. And it's a very, very cool way to kind of enter the market. And so I got you guys here today. Hopefully we're not too busy. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here, but welcome on the podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Doing awesome. Yeah, we're taking a break from foaming up some targets, some cubes after this week's launch.
Yeah, little teaser there. So Primal Pursuit, give us the overview of what you guys are doing with Primal Pursuit and some of the products you guys have.
Yeah, so kind of like what you were mentioning, we're trying to enter a very old space with a very, very different mindset. So what we do is archery targets in and of itself, but where we've tried to differ ourselves is we have a lifetime unconditional archery target. So shoot it up, destroy it, broadheads, compounds, really anything in between. Get your crossbows out, shoot it with that as well. We're gonna replay it. We're gonna replace it. We're gonna get it back to you guys so that you have a target that you can just continue to shoot. And then along with that, we have a repair kit system that is meant to repair current targets instead of having to wait for cores. If you're waiting a year, get that taken care of, as well as a lot of archery clubs taking and repairing their current 3D targets that they have so that they're able to keep using them. The more they stay on the range, the more people they have, the more it brings people in, and we all get to experience the beauty of archery that I've came to love. I know JD's came to love as well. And it sounds like you do quite a bit of archery as well, Brian. So,
yeah, I mean, shooting the bow has become me and my wife's kind of just leisure, like we just do it for fun together. And she got done with residency, bought herself a brand new Hoyt, and she actually shot the first buck on our new farm here in Minnesota with her bow. And so now we just kind of like shooting together as kind of every couple's got their thing that they do together, and this is just one of ours. And so it's fun there, but then, yeah, just being able to extend the season. I mean, I've been a bow hunter my entire hunting life, and I've done it all. I'll tell you what, I have had big targets. I've had layered foam targets. I've had rubber targets. I remember I had an internship that had a big company, and they had a lot of cardboard box waste. And so I was taking home cardboard boxes and putting them on layers and ratcheting them down with ratchet straps, making like a big 4-foot target. And I was shooting into the sides of those. And I've done it all. I really have. And now I do shoot a rubber target just like you guys offer. And it's nice how long they last. But, that rubber does cut. And it does it's getting a little soft in some of those spots. I've been shooting that same face over and over and over again. And I shoot a big bow. I have 30-inch draw, 70-pound, not super. I feel like it was standard, but the more I talk to people, the more I realize like not a lot of people are shooting a 30-inch, 70-pound bow. A lot of people are a little shorter than that, a little shorter draw length. And I shoot a big, heavy arrow, micro diameter, so it really buries in there. And so I've been noticing if I hit a couple spots, I'll poke out the backside. And that's, not very far away from shooting some fletchings off.
Yeah, that was a big frustration that we had, and that's why we wanted to make sure we got the foam that we got up to par. We actually didn't just launch. It might seem like that to a lot of people because of this cube. We actually started with an elk hindquarter target a year ago, at the Western Fest in 23, and that was a rough niche to try to break into for sure. Didn't sell a lot of targets, but my hindquarter target, has 14,000 shots in it. So
Wow.
like it lasts a long time. We knew we were onto something on the foam for sure. And then the guy that's been doing our marketing and advice on there and consulting with us on that kind of stuff, his cube target that he's been testing for a year, he has 1,500 fixed blade broadhead shots into his, and it was still stopping arrows.
Wow.
It didn't look good. It was pretty beat up. It looks good now. He just repaired it, did a YouTube video about it, and that was kind of the pre-tease before us launching the new and improved cube.
What was where did the idea come from this? Were you guys like shooting targets and just not happy with, wrecking them in a season? And there to date, I don't know of any options like your guys' repair kit. Once I've always thought once you shoot a target out, you throw it away or use it as a backstop, start making a pile of backstop targets. And so where did the idea really originate for you guys?
So I've shot bows my whole life, and kind of the whole thing is we just were sick of buying a new broadhead target every single year. And so as we started finding different foams, we ended up getting a proprietary
Mix.
yeah, proprietary mix is the best way to explain it on the foam that we have. And so with that, that led into the hindquarter. And so we got a couple targets in a couple people's hands, and they were shooting it, we were shooting it, and we're like, hey, this is actually lasting a lot longer than we ever really expected it to. And and so that kind of got our minds thinking, what could we do to separate us from the current market of the current target companies? What is the thing that we can do that would set us aside? And as we started thinking of that, we started coming across, well, what I guess the idea started mowing around. What if we could just repair targets? What would that look like? And so that kind of evolved into the repair kit system. And we love the idea that we can get our foam in the hands of everybody and let them fix even just the current targets that they have.
Right.
Whether it is a stacked foam, a regular foam, any target, the foam, our foam will adhere to somebody's current target. So with that, it was just all right, now we can get this into people's hands. After a little bit of time, then it was, okay, now people can see what the foam is. Let's give them the option of having something that they're never going to have to change another target. If they do buy our cube now, then if they want to repair it, great. If not, it's going to last the average person years and years and years before they're ever going to have to do anything with it. The self-healing abilities of our foam is unlike anything else out there. We've got some videos that we'll be posting, but as you pull the arrow out, the hole just instantly collapses in on itself. It's beautiful.
Wow. That's awesome. So I feel like there's a lot of work that would go into developing a unique formula for a foam. And that's just like step one. Then you gotta create, like, I would imagine, mold and targets, and it sounds like that's what you guys are kind of doing today. How has that gone from like going through the technology to do it, and then the operations to do it, and then the marketing to like really launch it? Which one of those three like phases do you feel like has been the most challenging? And which one do you, because I feel like each one of them's got their own thing, and you're like, man, this sucks, and then you get to the next one, you're like, wow, that was easy. Now this part, oof.
Yeah, so definitely when we were like first looking into foams, we were thinking like, let's just make a layered foam. Just get kind of like a block target, how it's just layered up, and we'll cut out the shape of that elk hindquarter out of that. Found out that that stuff just does not last near as long as we want it to, even if we can compress it down. So that's kind of where we started. Then we switched to like an EVA, like boogie board style foam,
Yeah.
layering that up and cutting that up. And then we're like, let's just see if we can buy like Delta McKenzie's foam. It was right around the time, well, that we saw it. It was probably only a year old when they released how their manufacturing works with Bomar, and like we're like, oh, maybe we can just like buy their foam, make our elk hindquarter target, because like we're not a competitor. We were trying to break into the fitness side of things and shoot target,
Yeah.
and that was all we were gonna do. But we knew we wanted a foam that was gonna last a long time, because like all foam targets are expensive, so we didn't want it to end really quickly. We wanted it to be able to last. We wanted it to be able to take a beating. So iteration one, trying to get foam from these target companies, never could. They wouldn't let us do anything with it, of course. Makes sense. So then we're like, what else is out there? So then we actually saw repair kits. Repair kits have been around since the 70s. Got some of those. Didn't like a lot of them. Almost all of them, actually. We found we found a foam manufacturer, and we're like, this is what we want. He's like, well, I actually made targets 20 years ago and it didn't go good. So I'm like, I'm giving you a heads up. It did not go good. No one really bought them. It just ended up being too expensive. Here's what I would do. And he gave us some foam. Way too low of density. It would have fallen apart fast. Way fast. Just with filled points. We're like, no, that's not going to work. We like how it has the healing property, the elastomers there. We want this density, and that didn't work. Okay, now we want this density. Okay, that worked, but it's too hard, and like breaking arrows hard if it got cold. And so then we said we want this and this and this, and about 90 iterations later that he did, he was like, I think I got something. We made our first elk hindquarter target out of this whole time we're building our fiberglass molds. That was a whole, neither one of us had ever done fiberglass before. All of this just in a garage too. And got the foam, did the pour, went everywhere in my house. Like, thank goodness we had paper down. My wife would have killed me because that stuff adheres to everything. Redid it, reset it up, got a good pour, felt it. We're like, this is gonna be way too soft. Woke up the next morning and felt it. We're like, because after that 24-hour cure time,
Yeah.
we went out and shot it. My bow at the time was just an old Bear Authority, shooting like 280 feet per second with 400 grain arrow. I had a 28 draw length on it, 70 pounds. I was only going 4 inches into the foam.
Wow.
Cody's new prime bow, he was going 6 inches into it. We're like, okay, giddy up. Here's our foam. So then we made a bunch, went to the Western Fest, and crashed and burned on the sell side of things. We didn't sell one hindquarter at the Western Fest. And pretty disheartening, but that's business too. We got it in front of a lot of people. Hoyt and Matthews guys, when they shot it in their booths, they're like, this is the best foam we've ever shot. Now, I would never exercise with that thing, though.
What?
And
So the
yeah.
the hind quarter, just want to touch on a little bit. I think I saw some shorts on it before. So it was that kind of a product that was supposed to kind of bridge two different gaps of like this could be a target, but it's also something you could like put in your pack with and train. Is
Yep.
that the thought process? Okay. How much did it? I'm just curious. How much did it weigh?
So the target itself was 20 pounds, but then you attach a sandbag on it and you can get up to 60 pounds with one, 90 pounds with two.
Okay. Awesome. And so was it just like a great target, but it doesn't really fit in my workout program kind of a thing?
We just found that people, when they want to work out, they want to work out. They don't want to work out and shoot.
Oh,
So what's the point of spending the money to get both when I'm only wanting something for one?
I
It's
feel like
kind of
what
what we're
people
guessing.
should be doing though is working out and shooting, because that's your heart rate. That's what you're gonna be when that bull elk walks by. You're gonna be tired. You just ran up a mountain. You're gonna want to be practicing in that environment for sure. And I don't do it. I should, but I don't.
So that was kind of the marketing side of things. Like, how can we market this and get it out there? And it just never really kicked off. And this whole time, we're trying to just bootstrap it all ourselves. So we didn't want to bring in outside investment. We didn't want to try and take on a lot of loans.
Yeah.
I'm still in school. Cody was doing his job, and so like we were just juggling it all essentially, not pushing it super hard, and it showed. It was a
Yeah, I
great
think
idea, and we still have the molds. They're still on our website. If someone buys one, then awesome.
yeah, I do think like there's a lot of the I think it's okay to do some of that stuff. Like it's okay to start where you're at and have other things going on in life. And I really like to tell people like don't sell the farm to try your first business. Like don't take on a bunch of debt. Don't quit your job. Like find a way to start with what you have. I'm a very big proponent of that. Like keep your day job, figure out a way to do what you want to do on the nights and the Hey folks, I've been hunting out a Booner panel blinds by Maverick for years now, and one of my favorite things about the Booner blinds and all of Maverick's hunting blinds is how easy they are to set up. I recently set up 2 new blinds this last season, and I had both blinds set up by myself without any heavy equipment. You can carry each panel of your blind to the top of your platform and set it up by yourself in a single day. The best part about Maverick hunting blinds is that you get the all-weather comfort and scent control benefits of a hard-sided blind at a fraction of the cost. I mean, you can literally get 3 Maverick hunting blinds for the same price as some of the other options on the market, meaning you get triple the options when it comes to picking where you want to hunt, so you can be in the right stand when that big buck walks out this fall. Click the link below and head over to maverickhunting.com and use the code WESTERNROOKIE. That's one word, WESTERNROOKIE, to save 10% on your next blind. Weekends, start small. I love the bootstrap mentality. I'm right there with you. I've done everything bootstrap myself. Haven't taken on any, investors or loans or I don't know what else there is. I haven't hired anyone to do a thing, which maybe sometimes that shows too, because it's hard to do everything yourself. But I love that aspect of it and that spirit of the business entrepreneurship world that you guys are doing. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think when we got to 7,000 shots, that's where we're like, we're onto something.
Do you guys just keep a count going of your shots, or do you have like a shooting booth set up that just like cycles through shots, or how do you?
So I had a big bull tag last year, and so I knew I wanted to shoot 75 to 100 shots every day.
Oh, okay.
And so and if I wasn't doing that, I usually had 2 or 3 other guys with me. And then we also kept track by how many stickers we gave out at the booths that we were boothing up at. Because every time someone would come in to get a sticker, we'd stab the target 5, 6, 7 times, 6 to 8 inches deep. And so simulating arrow and how it closes up. It's pretty fun to watch people's faces when you pull the arrow out and they're just like, where'd the hole go?
So is it just like properties of the material that when you shoot it, they're not ripping, it's just expanding and then contracting again, basically?
Essentially, yeah. So you throw a broadhead on there, it'll cut through it, of course, but it just closes right up around it. And eventually you get in those different angles. Yeah, it's going to start falling apart. But
well, yeah, all targets eventually will, but yeah, that's crazy. So 7,000 shots, put that in perspective. Like, do you have any maybe like data on like what the average like whitetail bow hunter shoots in a year? I'm thinking like he might shoot 3 nights a week, probably like 36 arrows. Like he's probably more like 100 arrows a week. And so this thing is going to last you like at that math, 15 years.
And that's kind of what we were thinking. We don't have any hard proof data, but just asking people. Yeah, that's about what we're thinking.
And that's probably conservative because most people don't shoot in the winter, or if they do, they go to a league, they go to a range. Mm-hmm. And so you're not putting as many arrows. I used to shoot in my basement all the time. That's how I found out my target's getting a little weak because I shot through it. and my tip like made a little dot in the drywall, and I was like, damn it.
At
So
least
then
there's a little dot. You should see the big old dent in my garage.
you got to hit the target for it to stop arrows. Is that what happened?
Yeah, we shot at the same time on one of our older prototype canvas targets, and you couldn't shoot it at the same time. You got to take
Oh,
turns.
two arrows at once is a little much for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And so now you went through like revision one, you got some market testing, market feedback, and then you said, hey, we're going to pivot. And now you guys have the cube, right? Like it's a cube target.
Yeah,
So,
before that pivot, even it was the repair kit. And I'll let Cody talk.
okay. So we get to the repair kit. So this is a kit that like anyone, anywhere with I said rubber earlier. Did I misspeak? Are like all targets foam technically?
Yeah, so it's called polyurethane.
Oh, okay.
It instead of coming from rubber, it comes from oil.
Oh,
So almost all foam is essentially it's plastic.
so if someone is out there like, hey, end the oil industry, but you're an archery shooter, you're kind of like, yeah, you're kind of a hypocrite.
Yeah, you also gotta end shoes too. Polyurethane foams on your shoes.
Yeah, so they better be shooting like a full leather cowboy boot, which is obviously better for the environment to go kill a bunch of animals.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk the repair kit. So we did the elk quarter, and then you're like, hey, that isn't the direction we want to go anymore. How did the idea for like selling a commercially available like repair kit land? You're just like, hey, I think we should pivot in this other direction, or was that feedback that you got from like going to the Western Hunt Expo and seeing like customers and be like, hey, like I would just rather fix the target I have versus buy another?
Uh, it was more of just an idea we had. We had seen it, and we're
Yeah,
like, why
just
aren't these companies just sending out repair kits as their foam right now? Let's see what it's going to take.
Kind of going back to your marketing, I guess to give a little background on us. So my dad bought an outfitting business when I was 5 years old,
okay.
and so I grew up in the hunting realm, everything. And my goal, my plan, my hope was to take over the outfitting business and to just live that life and share that, grow it. I got 4 other brothers and sisters, and that was the plan. And then when I turned 17, a month before high school graduation, my dad passed away out of the blue. And basically, when that happened, life was changed. Long story short, don't have the outfitting business, and I've always wanted to get back into the hunting industry.
Mm.
That was a love. That was something I grew up with. It's something that I deeply share with my father, and so I wanted to share that, pass that on to my kids, and so I've always tried to figure out how we can do this, and I ended up going to business school, and so learning the business side of things, wanted to be able to do something right. And JD is in he's done a bunch of marketing stuff in the past, and he's in design right now as well. And so, um, long story short, that's where the guiding, outfitting, being with horses all the time, we would pack elk out off the mountain with the horses. And then we would have individuals who we would have to be packing off the mountain as well, because they had never trained, they had never prepared to hike an elk off the mountain. And then they get 100 yards away from the carcass and they blow their knee out. And so now we're hauling an elk off the mountain and we're hauling a hunter off the mountain because they didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so trying to help that situation, that's where the hindquarter came in.
Mm.
How can we prepare hunters before the hunt to be ready for that? And then that leading into the repair kit, it was, all right, now we have a foam, now we have something here. Looking at the industry is where the business side came into play and went, okay, there are other people out here that do repair kit systems, but they're very difficult to use. You almost have to have a chemistry background in order to realize, oh, I need exactly this amount for this and this amount for that, and if you don't do it right, it turns out just nasty. And so we went, okay, with this foam, is there a way for us to make this simple? Is there a way for us to market this product so that more people can know about it? Your response of not knowing that there was a repair system, that's what most everybody's response is.
Right.
It's just, it's not marketed, it's not shared, it's not something that's out there for people to understand. And so we're like, okay, can we get this to the masses? Can we get this out to our archery friends? And so that's where the idea of that repair system came into play. And then I guess continuing with the marketing into the cube system, now we have a target that we've been shooting for 2.5 years. It's still holding shots. We have a foam that is able to be marketed, is able to be that different, that weird thing in the archery industry. Okay, now is there a way for us to get this everyday shooter system in the hands of everybody? And so the cube comes into play, and we wanted to just set ourselves one step further and prove this foam that we have is the best foam that's out there. No questions asked. And so because of that, try it, test it. We're going to give you a lifetime warranty on it. And that in and of itself is very different than what's out there right now.
And we're
Yeah,
very comfortable. We're very comfortable with giving the lifetime warranty because either you send your target into us, just it's all just a flat rate shipping. Send the target into us, we'll repair it and send it back. Take 4 to 6 weeks for that. If you want to just get a repair kit and do it yourself, it'll take 2 to 4 weeks for us to get you those repair kits, and probably even faster than that. But that's the time frames we're putting on our terms and conditions. But
Yeah.
that's the best way. Either you can repair it or we can repair it. We're comfortable enough to say you're going to get the exact same target back. You might have little lines from where you had shot up previously or where you had cut it out. It's going to start stopping arrows again, though.
Yeah. That's super cool. I've never seen that for sure in the target industry, a lifetime warranty. And you see companies like Vortex and Leopold in the optics where they went like no quite like Vortex is famous for it. I think their warranty is a little bit more all inclusive. It's like we don't ask questions, you just send it back. You ran it over yourself. I mean, try not to do that again, but we'll repair it or replace it, you know. And so I think, and you see their brands grow exponentially. I think it's because the consumer knows, like, I don't know if it's the best, I don't know if it's the worst. It looks good, you know, it looks like it'll get the job done, but I do know that no matter what happens, they're going to take care of me. And so that's what I'm going to buy because I have that peace of mind that no matter what, this is going to work out. Versus other brands, it's like, yeah, it might be, maybe it's better, maybe it's not, but if it breaks after 4 years or 5 years, I'm on my own. I got to buy another one. And so I think that's a super big consumer confidence builder when you offer something like that, like a lifetime, no questions asked guarantee. I think that's going to really resonate with a lot of people.
Guys, so like on our terms, we said follow the 3-step method. We just said that to make it so that you repair your target sooner than later, kind of thing. Pick 3 sides, shoot those 3 sides, because if you start shooting the opposite side, you're going to shoot through it faster. So repair it before you get to that point, essentially. And some people have been upset about it, but you get a better peace of mind that your arrows are always going to be stocked and you can always be shooting as long as you keep repairing it. And you can repair that thing inevitably as long as you bring it inside. The sun and the weather does more damage than arrows do most of the time.
Yeah. And so how does that work with sun and weather? I assume the same things kind of apply even with this new formula that you would be best not to leave it out in the weather. Like bring it inside, put it in the garage, put it in the shop, something like that.
Yeah, we're working on a spray right now that you can spray any foam target you can spray with. And it waterproofs it and UV proofs it, but that's probably a year out before we get that figured out.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. So how is the Target Medic kit? Is that Have you seen a difference between launching that product versus launching the elk rear quarter so far in the product's life?
Oh yeah, for sure. So we started thinking about the repair kit last May, so May 2023, and it took us from May, like we had the idea and we knew where we were getting our containers to ship them out to.
Hmm.
From May till December is how long it took us to get all the requirements so that we could sell it and get the labeling looking spot on, get it looking sexy. Sadly,
Yeah,
things have to look sexy to sell. And
yeah.
so we launched in January or February this year with the repair kit at just a local archery shoot, and it got a way better feedback. And it slowly built over the month to a lot more sales than we'd ever had. And we're like, yeah, we're on to something. Still, we my marketing background's reading some books and taking a couple pictures, so not very far into marketing. So we had a guy that was giving us advice until he's full hearted in and going ham with us now that he's switched jobs, and beforehand he couldn't help us a whole ton. And so that's really helped too, the difference between the hindquarter to the repair kit to now the cube. Like we were getting 500 views to 1,000 views on every social post we were doing. And this post that you commented on, that one's almost at 30,000 views. Just posting it at the right time and having his insight on when to post it. And then it being separated so heavily different from everything else in the archery industry right now.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and I like some of the videos you guys are putting out because you don't see, I don't personally see any other target companies at all. I mean, I don't see Reinhardt doing anything. I don't see Mackenzie doing anything on social media really. And all of a sudden I saw your guys' stuff come through, and not only are you posting and you're active, but you're also doing like lifestyle stuff. Like this is what it's not just like walking through a showroom and saying, oh, buy this, buy that. You're just out there shooting it. Looks like bringing them out public land. Maybe you guys have a big ranch, maybe you don't, but yeah, just bringing it out, shooting it, showing the product, showing how it works, and just very, I would say, a very high quality way of just showing what the product can do without being pushy, right?
Yeah,
You're
I
not
wish I
saying
could take some credit for that. That was all. His name's Caleb. That was our marketing guy. That's all
yeah,
his idea.
it's worked pretty good. So the foam that you guys use, you have a mold, so it doesn't expand. Like it's not like a spray foam that like expands. Is that how it works, or
I'm talking too much. Go for it.
Yes, it does expand. The expansion on ours is about double of what it. So you have a part A, you have a part B,
okay,
and you mix them together, and then from there it expands about double that.
okay,
So as far as a mold, you put it into the cavity of the mold, and then it'll raise and expand the remaining way. So it's all based on how much of each chemical is in there to determine how big of a cavity that will fill.
okay, interesting. Is so I have a question for you guys, and I don't know. I don't think it'd be very possible because it like the logistics of shipping products gets really tough. But I've been looking for a good way to have like an affordable like 4x4 target as like a backstop for like longer range shooting, right? Like I don't need a 4x4 cube. I just need to like have something so that if I want to shoot 100 yards, I'm not losing an arrow, every day, and 12 days later I got to go buy more arrows. I don't care if it stops at halfway through or I rip a fletching at that point. But so like, is there a way? I don't feel like you could do like a 4x4x12 or 6-inch target and ship it very economically. Is there a way that you could do like a build your own target kit, or is that still really not that logistically feasible either on the shipping side, or like people aren't going to have the right materials to make a mold? Like I'm assuming you can't just do it out of like plywood at home.
Oh no, you totally could. Would it be expensive? Yes. it'd still be expensive.
Okay, so it's still not a good. There's like that's why like these big 4x4 blocks like that you see at an archery range are like $900 to buy.
Yeah, so our 4x4 by 4 inches, well, 4x4 by 3 inch mold, we have one. We did it for Hill Air Force Base here in Utah. Um, we sell them for $850.
Yeah, that
But it's gonna last forever, and we say they're a block face, is what we call it. You
yeah.
totally could just tent stake with some paracord down and have it sticking out there. And if we were to ever ship them, I don't know if we ever would, but if we did, we'd probably roll them up and vacuum them down like a mattress and ship it that way. But shipping still would be probably $100 on top of that plus.
Yeah, which at that point it's I'm just looking for like the everyday guy that just wants to shoot in his backyard. It doesn't seem like it seems like if someone can figure out that gap of like have your nice target, like this is what you're aiming for, but we have like a 4x4 foot backstop to shoot in case you miss. I feel like that's the missing piece, and I know people make stuff all the time at home, but I don't know. I don't trust myself to stop an arrow.
So here's your tip: if you're just wanting to stop an arrow, like you might get your arrow back, you might not, kind of thing. Horse mats work great, and you can get them sometimes on Marketplace for like $50.
I have a couple of horse mats in our horse stalls that we bought with the property. What do you mean by you might not get your arrow back? Like you can't get it out of there?
Like it might rip your insert out when you pull it out. It might break your arrow if it's too cold, but it'll stop the arrow.
Oh,
Might. So if you're worried about stopping the arrow, it's a good way to get around it.
because the horse mats are so tough, you're saying when you pull your insert out?
Yeah,
So then would you be better off just pulling it all the way through and refletching?
maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think? You've shot more horse mats than I have.
Yeah, I mean it's a rubber and that's the difference. Is it's tough, it's rubber, it's not a foam, it's not meant to when it collapses around your arrow, it collapses around your arrow. And so depending on the horse mat that it is, sometimes you'll get residue left on your arrow. And so it's by far not the best option that there is, but there really isn't a good option either for the problem that you are explaining. Because, and I guess where I'm getting at with this is you're not alone in that, and we're trying to do something so that that problem specifically can be fixed, so that the regular individual person who wants to stretch their shot out so that they can be comfortable inside that extended shot, so that they're comfortable in order to shoot their targets. So we're working on that. We don't really have anything we can say right now, but keep your eyes open.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Yeah, that's the problem is like arrows are expensive, and if you shoot nice arrows and componentry, like it adds up, man. A lot of people say $30 an arrow. I don't think I'm at $30 an arrow. With a broadhead, I am for sure, but I'm not shooting my broadheads at 100 yards. And so, but it's probably 15, $20. And like, is there just a way to save that? Like, I don't care about a fletching. I just don't want to wreck my arrow. And I shoot some, they're pretty rugged. I mean, they really are. We did the Iron Buck Challenge at our 3D Archery League. It was a clover leaf, but it was a black clover leaf on a black target on purpose. This episode is brought to you by Steelhead Outdoors. From the moment I first saw a Steelhead Outdoor safe, I knew I was going to order one. The ability to customize the color, the configuration, and most importantly, the ability to move and assemble my safe panel by panel makes Steelhead Outdoors the clear winner when it comes to gun safes. And if you haven't ordered a Steelhead Outdoor gun safe yet, you can still benefit from their innovation and creativity, because the guys over at Steelhead have designed some awesome accessories. Their case keeper allows you to hang all of your hunting caps and gun cases off the side of your safe, and it keeps your hunting room looking clean and organized. Or my favorite is the bow keeper that lets me hang my bow off the side of my safe so me and my wife can walk into our safe room, hang up our bows after shooting in the backyard, and not have to worry about the hassle of putting our bows back in the case every time. Both the bow keeper and case keeper are magnetic and work with any safe, which means you can use them now with your current safe, and when the time comes to order your Steelhead Outdoors gun safe, you'll already have all the accessories you need. Head over to steelheadoutdoors.com to order your bow keeper and case keeper today. Chris. And I missed by like, it was 30-yard shot. I missed by like a half an inch and hit the steel. And my arrow, like everyone else's arrows, just exploded, right? Like instantly exploded. When we got up there, I'm like, I don't think I heard it. We all heard it. Like, hey, you did not hit pure foam, but I could see my fletching. It was stuck in the target. I'm like, I don't know what happened, but my arrow didn't explode. I got up there and my field tip was just in the steel and my arrow was sticking there. Like I only got like a 1/4 inch penetration, right? But it was just stopped. Like it just nothing. The aluminum on my outsert was curled up a tiny bit, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to shoot that arrow anymore. But it didn't break. I mean, I think if I was on alone on an island and that was my last arrow, I would shoot it for sure. But yeah, I was pretty impressed that like I was like, wow, I can't believe that thing didn't explode. And so my arrows are pretty tough, but I don't want to like, even if you say like, if you pull them out, the insert rips off, like that's kind of annoying. Not the end of the world, but it's annoying. Or if there's a bunch of rubber residue left on it, then I probably just wouldn't trust that arrow. Like, is it going to fly the same? I don't know. And so, yeah, you're right. There's not a good option out there.
What would be a good price point for like a 4x4 in your opinion?
Oh man, it's tough. I mean, I'm gonna say 0, right? Because I don't like paying for anything. If it was, I think there's 2 different ways to think about it. Is it a 4x4 target that it is the target, like that's what I shoot all the time, or is
No,
it
like
just
a
like a
backstop.
backstop?
Yeah.
I would say like $200 to $400 somewhere in there. If it's 400, I'm gonna start to say it's expensive. Somewhere in that range personally, because it's like I'm hopefully never gonna hit it. So how much money am I gonna pay for Plan B? Really that's where I would struggle with. Um, if it was like a target that you could shoot, like this is your target, I'd pay $400 for that for sure. Even if it's not meant to be like a lifetime option, but just, $400 every 5 years or 4 years, $100 a year, something like that, I think would be a great a great option, that 4 or 5, because like you said, it's 900 to $1,000 to get the other one. And that, like, no one has that because of the price. Everyone wants one, but no one has one at home, and it's only because of the price. They're high quality targets. They last a long time. You can shoot 100 yards with them, but that's kind of just like the consumer level. It's just like, I don't know. At that point, do I just go to the range and shoot? Do I get a membership at the range? It's such a tough, very hard problem to solve because you can't ship anything for that, for $100 or less. It's going to take probably more than $100 when you start getting that size. And so I don't even know. Maybe the technology just doesn't exist. Maybe it's something not foam. Maybe it's not fixed, like it's a heavyweight backstop, like a golf simulator. I don't know. I really don't know. It's clearly not easy because bows have been around since the beginning of time and no one's done it. So
Yeah, no, we get it. We definitely, after the hindquarter and we're pivoting, I never had the chance to buy a broadhead target, and so I was always just shooting bag and hoping my broadheads tuned up just by miracle, essentially.
yeah,
And
I
it was
know a
always
lot of
price,
people.
and so
I
yeah,
know a
that's
lot of people
definitely
like those bag targets, but I do not. They rip bag targets rip my inserts off the most out of any target, and it's definitely because I have a narrow shaft arrow with a larger is it furl or outsert, and so
yeah.
that outsert catches, and it, like, my brother is like, oh, these are the best target ever. I just pull my arrow right out, but he shoots a standard diameter arrow that matches his insert, and so he never has a problem with it. But yeah, I'm like, I will not shoot a bag target anymore. I've lost too many inserts, and when you're on an elk hunt, and you're shooting, it's like, well, that arrow's done. Like I can't really fix, I could, but I'm not going to fix that arrow on this trip. So now I'm down an arrow for the week. Right. And so that's the real problem is, it's just, I don't know. I'm never buying a bag target again, which is probably music to your guys' ears. You're like, yeah, no one buy bag targets. Like, but yeah, I'm a big advocate of the foam. I like the foam block. I've had foam layers before, but they were just so hard to stop my arrow. I shoot right through them a lot of times if it's not a really, really thick one. And then those are why spend that much money on a foam layer target if you could just get a block target instead. So
Yeah, for sure. That you said elk camp actually. Like that's why we did the 10 by 10 first.
yeah,
That is
just
why
something
we did.
small.
Well, and it's right before elk hunting. Like get your target up in the mountain. Be shooting your broadheads when you're in camp. Like don't switch out. Shoot some of your broadheads so you stay tuned up.
Yeah, which is I'd never bring the target. I did once, but yeah, that's the problem. Is like we have an 8-man archery elk hunting group, and so then everyone's shooting broadheads. It's like, ugh, my
Yeah, yeah.
target's gonna get like 50 broadhead shots in it a day, And so I was like, I don't really want to bring my target or shoot, your field points and just assume they fly the same, which they never do. So, yeah, it's a good point. Like you said, to have a lifetime guaranteed broadhead target, that's a huge marketplace right there. I think for a lot of people to be like, you mean you're telling me I can shoot this with my broadhead and it's going
Oh
to
yeah.
last for life? Sign me
Oh
up. I
yeah.
mean, that's obviously people. Every bow range you go to, it says do not shoot this target with broadheads, and so it's just kind of I feel like ingrained in people's minds that they can't shoot their targets with the broadhead, and you guys are out there every day saying like, no, shoot our target with your broadheads. Like,
Oh, we're
make sure you
screaming it. We're
make sure
screaming it.
you are as accurate as can be come elk season.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, for
awesome.
sure. Yeah, when I'm not joking. When Caleb on his cube shot 1,500 fixed blade broadhead shots, like he did starting in July till his elk hunt 1st of September, he shot 35 to 50 broadhead shots every day. And then from September till his hunt, he had turned it and shot every single day 35 to 50 arrows again after he had turned it to a different side. So in total, he had just over 1,500 fixed blade broadhead shots. And then he sent a picture to us spring, and he had shot the target with a crossbow a couple of times at 20 yards, and it was still stopping arrows. And then thousands of field point shots on one of the other sides, and he just repaired it.
How does I want to ask a little bit? I'm not a crossbow guy. I hunt in a state now where crossbows are legal for everyone, and I don't love it. I don't want to offend anyone, but I think if you're an able-bodied person, you should be shooting a vertical bow. Like that's the point of an archery season, and crossbows are not archery equipment. I mean, I put it on paper like, okay, is a muzzleloader a firearm? I would say yeah. It's got an energy source. It's got a trigger. It's got a stock. It shoots a projectile. You know, a bow to me, what really sets a bow apart from everything else is that you are responsible for maintaining the energy source, right? You can't just sit there forever ready to go, one little move of a finger and fire it, right? Like you got to hold that sucker and you got to aim it. You can't use a tripod. There's no magnification on your scope. I know people have peep sights, whatever, but that's, a lens on your peep to correct your vision is much different than a 3x9 scope or I have a 5x25 scope, right? And you're responsible for all these things. A crossbow on paper to me, it's like, well, it's got a stock, it's got a forearm, it's got a scope. You don't have to hold the mechanical energy. It's stored energy. It's not held energy. You can use a tripod. They shoot to 100 yards. I mean, like, what is the difference between a crossbow and a muzzleloader at this point? If they shoot a projectile, I don't understand it. So to me, it's like I don't love it. I really don't. Um, but that being said, if you're not able-bodied, I think it's a good option. Like my dad, he can't pull a bow back anymore, and so he's got a crossbow, and he's only shot one doe with it. So I think all of the deer hunters out there that think that crossbow hunters are wrecking it for him. Well, it's not my dad because he doesn't shoot much with it, right? But we shot my foam target once with his bolt. We couldn't get the thing out of it.
Yep.
So how does that go for crossbows on the Endura target cube?
So you have to try it. There's a lot of different crossbows that go from 100 pounds. I think the biggest ones are 500 pounds at this point, or 500 feet per second. Sorry. um, and so crossbows vary a ton. Um, so try it, test it, use it. All on our end, what we can say is the foam's going to stop it.
Yeah, that was not the
And
problem. It stopped it, but the two of us together could not get it out. We just broke it
So,
off, and it's still in my little. I have a little like, just like your enduro cube. I have a small ball that we throw
oh,
in sometimes for road trips,
yep.
and there's still a half of a crossbow shaft in there. We just broke it off. I mean, we were both, and I'm a big person. Like I said, I shoot 70-30. Like I'm a big guy. My dad is, his shoulder's the problem. He's still super strong. His shoulder mobility isn't there. We, both of us, like, till we were red in the face and sweating. We tried everything, twisting it, pulling it, standing on it, pulling it up, nothing. And so is that just an inherent thing about crossbows? Like the speed that they go into the target just creates that much more friction on the arrow, or what's going on there?
so partially it's that, but it's also they're making it so much more dense to stop those
Because
arrows.
it's a smaller target.
Yeah, so I just asked Caleb as you're saying that. He said it's just as easy as pulling my arrows with my bow.
Interesting. So it's more about we shot the wrong target, basically. Yeah.
We won't
I thought,
say it. We won't. We're trying to be. We
nice.
don't ever want to bash any other company.
Yeah.
And so there's always going to be innovation, and we know one day we're not going to be the best.
Well, I'll give
For
this
as
out
long as
for
we can be, we will be though.
there's a free win-win tip here for both you and the crossbow shooters. Do not use a Reinhardt target for an unloading target for your crossbow because you will not get your bolt back. So does that mean go buy a Primal Pursuit? You guys can be the judge of that. We're talking about it here. You got proof that it works, but the Reinhardt little ball does not work for anyone out there. And that's what I was like, hey, Dad, this is perfect. It's small. You can throw it in your truck because he's like, I don't want to, how do I unload this thing? Like, I don't want to waste a bolt every time. And I'm like, well, you can either do like these unloading bolts. And he's like, doesn't that sound kind of sketchy? And I'm like, kind of, I don't know, like to take a broadhead arrow off and put a new one on. Well, he's got it's not the 500, it's not a Raven it's still like 385 feet per second. It's a 10 point. He's like, doesn't that sound kind of sketchy? I'm like, yeah, kind of. I don't know. I'd like, here, just use this little target. Throw this in, Yeah, you cut a finger off with the crossbow string.
Yeah.
And so I was like, throw this little target in and just shoot this target at the end of your hunt and you'll be fine. So he did it. He shot it. He couldn't get it out. So he threw it in the truck, brought it home. He's like, hey, I can't get it out. Can you get it out? And that's when we're like, oh, this doesn't work. So then we had to do the unloading bolts, which is still a little sketchy, but he does it. We tried they make those big, well, the first time he shot it into the ground thinking that would do it. Which he lost his arrow, it gone. It was December, which is really scary.
The ground was stupid scary. Like frozen ground.
Yeah, it was gone. We found it food plotting the next year. It was in the food plot. When we were tilling, we tilled it up. So it wasn't super deep, but in frozen ground, if you can't see it, it's gone.
Yep. Yeah, that's terrifying.
And so then he shot the target and that didn't work. So now we're like, what now? So I bought him one of those unloading tips. Also kind of sketchy, right? Because you still have to take the arrow out. He did that, to shoot the ground. He shot it with a field point, disappeared. Shot the target with the field point, disappeared. So now I'm like, here, this is an unloading bolt, right? So he shot that frozen ground again. And they say like, you got to shoot it at a down angle, right? Well, he's like, that seems sketchy. Like I'm shooting it at my foot. Not quite, but so he's like, well, and he was a firearm safety instructor. She's like, I'm not shooting it straight down. Like that seems very sketchy. And so he shot it at like, I don't know, a 40, 45, 30 degree angle. It just went and skipped off the ground and took off. And it's like, well. And so this whole experience, this is probably why he doesn't crossbow hunt as very much, is he's like, I don't know what to do. So then we eventually had to go to those decocking bolts. It's basically a wear part. You buy them for like $5. You put it in. It's just a heavy piece of ceramic or some type of biodegradable, and you just shoot it, and you don't go find it, right? And so that's where we're stuck with because nothing else worked. Sounds like the cube is the way to go, though. Maybe we should just get a
sure.
cube.
So what he said afterwards, he's like, just as easy, maybe even easier since they are bigger, easier to grip.
Yeah, I have noticed that with mine. They with that bigger furrow, that outsert, and a small diameter. I usually have to use a one of those little rubber handle grip things to pull it out, especially if it's hot and my hands are sweaty.
We've only ever had one person have to use one of those with our targets, and he was 95 years old.
That's pretty impressive. I don't know how to think about that, but I feel like that's just pretty impressive that a 95-year-old shooting a bow that's powerful enough that he can shoot it, but it's like his grip needs help. I don't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's still pretty impressive for that
That
guy.
that same guy looked at us and goes, "I will never buy your target because it's going to last longer than I will."
Oh, he's like, I'm in a short-term investing mode, not a long-term investing mode. Oh yeah, that's hilarious. Good for him. I hope to be shooting my bow when I'm 95, having all these
Yeah.
issues. Well, I want to go to 80 pounds, and now when I had an old PSE, a real old PSE, and that thing I hated it. I think PSE is a fine company, but Googled it and it was like, yeah, that bow is pretty much known as the hardest PSE bow to shoot accurately. And I'm like, oh, that would explain a lot of things. And so when I graduated college, I bought myself a brand new Matthews, and I went out to shoot my layered foam target, basically the cheapest thing Fleet Farm has. And I'd been shooting it with my PSE, and I shot one arrow, and it didn't even slow it down. It just right through the middle, buried in the ground behind it. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to go get a new target now. And that's when I ordered a blemished, a manufacturing defect one, which I looked at. I'm like, I don't even know what the defect is, but I'll take 50% off. So glad I did that. And but now I want to shoot 80 pounds, and I'm worried that even my old target, it's like, I don't know. I get like these trauma flashbacks of the crossbow experience. Like if I go to a 31-inch bow and an 80-pound bow, am I going to have the same issues? And so it's good to hear that that's not the case with the poly, as you said, polyurethane,
Yep.
the formula that you guys have developed. I'm optimistic that I won't have the same experience twice.
Yeah, I go 6 inches into my our target. I'm shooting 400 grain arrow, 30-inch draw length, 70 pounds. I go 6 inches. And
Yeah.
it's super easy to pull. So Caleb this weekend, he was just here. He was 80 pounds, 29-inch draw length, 400 grain. Same thing. He was going probably 6.5 inches deep is all.
I'm surprised how light his arrow is for 80 pounds. That's like bare minimum.
Yeah, he was running low.
That thing was screaming.
Yeah.
That thing breaks the sound barrier. Yeah, I shoot a heavy arrow. My elk hunting arrow is 600 grains. So I do see that I get more penetration than like my brother shoots like a 425 grain arrow. But he's also shorter and he only pulls 62 pounds. So nothing, now that I say that, nothing is comparable. He's 28 and a half inch draw, 62 pounds, and shoots a 425 grain arrow. I'm 70, 72, 30, and 600 grains, but mine consistently hit harder and penetrate further. And they're a micro diameter shaft, which I think helps. I really do. I don't know about you guys. You probably know way more than I do, but it seems like it makes a difference.
I get 1 inch more penetration on our target. It's going from a standard to a micro.
Yeah.
So
Which I
if
think
it's
is
one
like
inch on
it's
foam on an animal, it's going to be a lot more.
that's what I'm going for, right? Is I want two holes in an elk. I don't want my arrow plug in them either. I want a complete pass through. I haven't had the opportunity to try it out. I I had a I had two opportunities, blew one of them, then I shot a tree and my brother shot the elk instead. I had a branch so close to my bow that it was right in front of my broadhead, but I couldn't see it through my sight housing. So I shot and right away and then he got that elk. And but we've never had a full pass through on a first shot before, which is why we're like, oh, we should probably focus more on arrow penetration than accuracy. Not to forget about accuracy. I'm just saying like we got the accuracy thing figured out, but we should probably kind of build arrows for penetration. And so that's why we've been
Well,
switching around.
I love talking gear. I love talking setups and everything that has to do with what are the things that you as an individual loves about your setup, about your bow? What things are you tinkering around with that are new?
You know what I don't
And
love? I'll give you one for free. I thought white camo was the coolest thing ever when I bought my bow. I don't love that anymore. It is so easy to see. Like people will be like, I couldn't see all four of you except I found you because Brian's bow is like a neon sign from a mile away when you guys were walking across that ridge. And so the next bow I buy will definitely not be white. There's two colors animals can see, white and blue, and my bow is white with blue accessories.
It's just a neon sign then.
Here
And
I
I've
am.
never got busted from a deer, I don't think, from my bow. But it does concern me a little bit if a bull elk walks out and I'm there at 12 yards. He's like, oh, there's a neon sign. So we'll see. But yeah, I have a question for you then, Cody. You've got a lot of experience, obviously, archery hunting, outfitting. You've probably seen a lot of people's equipment. Are you a fixed blade or mechanical blade guy for elk?
So he's from Idaho. Let me preface him. And he's from Idaho. So that law just changed last year.
just changed. Yeah.
Are you a rule breaker or not, Cody? No, just kidding. What do you think? Even if the law changed or didn't change, what would you use, or what do you think? Like, what would your recommendation be?
The first answer to that is what are you shooting, animal wise? And I think going back to just kind of what you were talking about with your brother, what is your setup? Are you shooting a super heavy arrow? Are you shooting a long distance draw length? I think there's so many factors that go into it. And I know that you're asking a specific answer, but I think there's so many factors that go into it to say fixed blade is better than mechanical. The one thing I will say, if you are going to go the mechanical route, uh, choose which way you're going. Like look into the mechanics of the mechanical, because there are definitely some that are meant for. They're meant for whitetail. They're meant for small game.
Yeah.
They're meant for
Yeah,
that kind of animal, and they do a phenomenal job. That same broadhead is not necessarily meant for the heavier skin, the heavier bone structure of an elk.
Yeah.
And so to just say mechanical fixed blade, well, I think there's so many different factors to sway that one way or the other. And then I think within each, there's cheap fixed blades, there's expensive fixed blades, and there's different metals that go into each. There's just a lot that needs to be said both ways for me to be able to say this one's better than that one.
Okay, so if I'm summarizing, you would, from what I hear, you would maybe lean more towards fixed blade, but you wouldn't count out some room for a mechanical to enter the conversation, depending on someone's setup.
Yes.
I would say I am personally more, I don't know, bold, adamant, willing to offend people. I'm fixed blade 100% for elk. I've quality fixed blade. I wouldn't go buy some cheap knockoff, right? That goes, and you have to have accuracy. To me, that's like when people are like, oh, accuracy is more important than penetration, because if you don't hit, if you don't hit the elk, or if you hit a front shoulder, I'm like, well, you need to shoot. No matter what you pick, it has to be accurate. Like you can't sacrifice accuracy no matter what. We're talking about like given all of them hit the group well and shoot well, which one are you going to pick? That's where I'm at. And I think it's so incredible. We've been a part of so many blood trails. It's so incredibly important to get 2 holes in an elk. It really is. I mean, those suckers are tough. They do not die easy. It's hard to blood trail in the mountains. They can run a mile in like seconds. Like that's my stance. I tell people, if your elk hunt hinges on a broadhead choice, pick a broadhead that doesn't have hinges.
I carry both in my quiver when elk hunting.
Is that for like if he's attacking you, I'm going like 3 yards and in, and I'm putting the fixed or the mechanical on?
So generally, my first shot is with a fixed blade. That's my first shot preference, and usually that's because that's a closer shot. There's more time in that.
And then your second shot, I'm gonna try to guess here, is because at this point we are just trying to open up more arteries at this point, and so I'm going for a wider.
I want the fastest ethical kill on that animal as absolute possible. So if I have a second shot in any way, shape, and form that I'm comfortable with, I'm going to take that second shot.
Yeah. And you're going to likely use your mechanical blade for that.
Yes.
The problem is my mechanical blades are 100 grain and my fixed blades are 200 grain. So I can't really swap back and forth. I'm shooting. I will say this. I will throw this in there. I shoot mechanicals for whitetails, and I sometimes shoot some big like 4-blade mechanicals. Um, and I've gone back to like 2 blades with a bleeder. And I like it. I like it a lot. And I was shooting the grizzly sticks for elk, and I'm not as big a fan of that one. I don't think I would pick grizzly stick again. I think I would go with a different 2-blade single bevel broadhead. It was just so narrow. Penetration was phenomenal. That wasn't an issue, but I don't think it had enough of a hemorrhage path. Was my kind of thought on that one. I don't know. That's my opinion.
This is completely just happenstance. We cut an elk open one time, and I guess going back every single year, there's almost one elk that we kill that has some part of an
arrow component in it.
Yes. So one year we cut open an elk, and we're going through everything, and we get into the chest cavity, and there is a 2-blade broadhead that is sitting. The broadhead itself is halfway between the heart and the lungs, and there had been just barely any cuts on both the heart and the lungs as it was going through, but it had literally stopped halfway sitting between the heart and the lungs.
That's great. And how long do you think that arrow had been there?
There, as far as on the Cape, there was almost no sign that an arrow had gone in there. Judging by the shaft of the arrow, it had been in there for probably over 3 years, 4 years.
Oh, so like the lungs were all healed up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it cut lung and it cut heart, but the animal survived.
Yep.
That's, to me, it just doesn't even seem possible.
Yeah, those elk get that adrenaline going.
I mean, if I was to like put a pinprick through Cody's heart with a sewing needle, he would die. Like that's how flimsy we are. That's
elk
crazy.
are amazing animals.
Yeah, and clearly not the penetration you would hope for, right? Like I don't want my arrow to go halfway through an elk, especially with a 2-blade. I would be really. I mean, I don't know if there was obviously probably not a leg broken in that scenario because you would have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
No.
yeah, not great. Not great arrow performance, I would say. I don't know what the details are behind the shooter. Maybe it was a child, 24-inch draw with a 40-pound bow. I don't know what. It seems like they put the arrow where it was supposed to be, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, and we could talk gear all day. Like,
yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. But no, I'm super happy to have you guys here. It's been about an hour, and I want to respect your guys' time. And I also have another podcast this afternoon that I gotta prepare for. It's been a busy day, but no, I appreciate you guys being here and sharing your story, sharing the products that you guys have been developing. Like I said, super cool to see. I think that the Target Medic kit is awesome. I really do. And then I'm really excited to see some of the Cube products that you're coming out with, and some of the teasers you sent along the way of things to look out for. I'm going to be following along and hopefully seeing those soon.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. And we'll put the links to all your guys' stuff in the show notes for everyone to check out. The Cube Target, the Medic Kit. You can get the elk quarter still, it sounds like. Keep follow up on social media and see some of the new products as they launch too. So we'll put all those in the show notes for everyone. But once again, thank you for being here, and thank you for listening.